What we aim to achieve or aspire to with our work is we want a space that feels like a sanctuary we can come back and retreat and relax and regenerate within. Fitzroy is going through a rapid change at the moment. These new buildings that go into the street, they are the new row houses. They need to work together to compose that new narrative of what Fitzroy is.
Typically when approaching a site, we'll have a strong brief that's been informed by our vision for the site. But from there, we really empower our architects and enable them to really craft their own architecture and vision. We find that a good architect with a strong brief will come up with a design and a vision that is far beyond what us as developers alone could deliver. One of the really great things about this project is the diversity of apartment typologies. You have smaller one-bedroom studios all the way up to large double-level penthouses, and I think that diversity is really needed through inner Melbourne.
Within this building, we have smaller studio apartments, giving opportunity for single people, single parents, younger people, the opportunity to live in this rapidly evolving neighbourhood.
That's right, it gives a greater level of flexibility for younger families or for people of all ages living here, and it doesn't demand that you live in a particular way. It opens that right up to being able to use the space in whatever way you might want to, in the way that you want to live.
At first glance from the street, you might not realise that the project is broken up in an east-west configuration and has a central atrium that draws both light and air through the middle of the building. Beyond that, the balconies are intentionally full width across the depth of the site. That really accentuates the width of the apartments. The penthouses have double level spaces. This separates the bedrooms and the living areas. They're multiple level subterranean apartments. It's a very innovative and experimental apartment configuration. At least in Melbourne, I haven't seen it done before. It was certainly a risk, but one that we're really proud of.
Almost the most important thing we can offer in an inner urban apartment in this context is amenity, just light and air. Throughout the seasons, throughout the time of year or time of day, you feel connected to that cadence of what the light's doing, what the day is doing, what the weather's doing, and you have an abundance of that most basic resource, which is fresh air and natural daylighting. We have a love of materials in their raw states. We love what they do, we love how they age. So leaning into materials like galvanised steel, concrete, they gain grace as they age. They start to come into their own. Coming into the interiors, we're looking at a softer palette, softer pale timbers, but then around the heart of the home, the kitchen then becomes that component where everything kind of flows around, and it's the backdrop acting as witness to kids growing from 1-year-olds to 12-year-olds to teenagers, and life moving on through its own seasons. We're seeking to use an efficiency in how the building's made, just designing to the point you need to, and then letting the base building block materials, the structural layers of the thing you see, finish the job.
Yeah, it goes back to that idea of celebrating the nature of what it wants to be as opposed to trying to convert it into something else.
There's a clear and conscious connection back to the rhythm and the language of the street and those humble Victorian row houses. We wanted to refer to those and have a connection to those, but provide a building that was true to its own north, that belonged to itself and belonged to the time that it was designed.
There is this calmness to the building. It has a level of restraint which also adds to the quality of the street.
Fitzroy is such a flat area, so getting a few floors off the streetscape means that you really open up to this whole other way of observing the neighbourhood. And that's this gift that the people who live here have, that kind of restrained exuberance of the façade. That's the thing gifted to the street. That's the thing that the street gets and the pedestrians get and the footpath traffic gets.
The things that in our eyes become a successful project are that the experiences of it are legible and enjoyable and full of delight, and I think that the building has enabled that in a couple of very particular ways.